Okay, I am back. I wanted to talk today about minerals and how to get into collecting minerals a little bit more seriously and how to kind of stay safe when you're first starting out. And when I mean get seriously into mineral collecting, I mean collecting minerals that are very natural, not polished or have any like color treatment or any lapidary work at all. Just a mineral in its natural form. First, I would probably want to tell you about where to buy these minerals, and that already in itself has a wide range of options. I would recommend staying away from obviously Amazon. Amazon overprices a lot of things and it's not very single vendor friendly. eBay is actually a pretty good place to find minerals on the auction, but a lot of people don't like auctions and you have to be careful because there are a lot of vendors who are selling fakes. It's not really the best place to start because it's a lot of pressure, a lot of can I trust this person, can I trust their ratings. It's a much more difficult, so I wouldn't recommend it for someone who's just beginning. There's also vendor fairs. If you look up gem shows in your area, you might see people actually selling natural minerals and not just things like cut sapphires, rubies, diamonds, any precious gemstones. And these are great too. You just have to make sure to do your research and figure out when those events are going to take place. But for a lot of people, the nearest mineral show might not even be close by or might have passed already. You don't want to wait another year to get the mineral you like. There's also Etsy, which I honestly use Etsy quite a bit, and I do trust Etsy a little bit more than I trust eBay. The downsides to Etsy though are that, once again, you can't really trust the ratings because a lot of the people are also just casual mineral buyers too, and they might not know how to tell a fake versus a real mineral. And also, people for some reason on Etsy especially tend to overprice their minerals quite a bit, and a lot of this has to do with the fact that people are into spiritual healing with minerals, and a lot of it goes into pseudoscience, which I can make a whole other episode about, but they'll overprice minerals because they'll say, I charge them under the full moon, or they'll help you cure your respiratory infection, or something like that, and they overcharge. So those are a few options. There's also, I'll link a bunch of different options down below as well. There are other auction sites which have buy now prices, and honestly, those are sites I recommend. A lot of those vendors have to go through kind of a vetting process and have to be reliable vendors or else they wouldn't be on that website. The only problem with those is that they tend to be really expensive minerals. So they get through this whole vetting process, but it's going to be people selling very fine top shelf minerals that go for average $100 or more. Some go into the thousands and so forth. Some minerals you can start out with though, and you're less likely to get fakes, are things like agate. To start off, agate is really super nice. The only problem is if you go to your local fair and you see people selling agate, oftentimes you'll see it with dyed colors. It'll be greens and pinks and blues, neon pinks and blues, and those colors aren't natural. People dye agate to make them look cooler than they appear. They make them into coasters. It's really sad because agate looks super amazing, and different kinds of agate are pretty and in general very more complex than what we think of traditional agate. And I'll show some pictures up on the screen, and any photos I use that aren't mine, I will give credit in the description and let you guys know where they came from. I'm not making any money off this video, by the way. Agate is very cheap too. It tends to not be that expensive, but it also depends on what type of agate you're getting, so it's really great for starting off. Another mineral that's pretty good for that kind of stuff is fluorite. The only thing you have to worry about is that sometimes fluorite is heat treated, other times it's cleaved to look like a point. They'll call them fluorite points, or into like octahedrons or prisms or something. They'll be just knifed down, essentially carved down into a very basic shape, which I can show you. I have both. One from when I started in the mineral hobby, and the other one from when I started caring about where my minerals came from and looked like. And you can see how much cooler the ones that are natural are versus the ones that have been cut into points, which, like, I know a lot of people who just buy mineral points, and I get that. If that's the kind of collection that you're going for, that's not me putting any judgment on you. That's just something that I see very often. Another great mineral that I think is kind of underappreciated is pyrite. Since pyrite is a very common mineral, it is very unlikely to be faked in any way. Same with the other two, because they're common minerals, they're often not expensive. You have to think about it's not going to be worth the time to put more effort into changing that mineral as to just selling it as is. And pyrite looks really super cool. It doesn't have to just be one block of pyrite. You can get pyrite with like small little formations, and it looks awesome. It's crazy. Like, there's a reason why it's called fool's gold. It looks really stunning, and I feel like it's not appreciated as much as other minerals as it should be, I should say. Another mineral would be quartz in general. I think quartz is really great to start off with. You just have to be careful about things like strawberry quartz, papaya quartz. If it has a weird... I notice in the mineral hobby, if something has a weird food name to it, oftentimes it's been heat treated or it's just not real quartz. So one form of quartz would be amethyst. Amethyst, because it's really common and inexpensive, it's very hard to fake amethyst. I don't really see any fakes. You have to worry about like tumbled amethyst. I wouldn't go for that. But amethyst in general, once again, another underappreciated mineral that I think a lot of people should get into. And look up the different forms of a mineral. Don't just go for the basic Google search. Look up, enter the mineral you want, and then look up druzy and see if something there catches your interest. Because a lot of the times it's like, oh, here's this mineral, and then you look up a different form of that mineral and it's absolutely crazy. Minerals to not go for, I should cover real quick, but I can make a whole other video about this as well. Don't go for citrine when you're first starting out, because citrine is one of the most commonly faked minerals out there. It's essentially heat treated amethyst when you fake it. And you can tell because citrine is, look at the name, citrine. Citrus isn't this bright orange color. It's typically a nice lemony yellow color. But oftentimes vendors will sell their citrine for a ridiculous price, and it's just amethyst that they put into the oven and made orange. Same with ametrine, they'll do the exact same thing. They'll heat treat one section and then leave the other section, and it's just really hard sometimes to spot fakes. So I recommend staying away from citrine when you're first starting out. Do more research. And another one would be peacock ore. Peacock ore is superly common faked, and it's typically, real peacock ore should be Bornite. Bornite has that kind of natural iridescent, I should say, to it. Oftentimes what you'll see is, I don't know how to pronounce this properly, but chalcopyrite, it has this natural iridescence just like pyrite does. However, people will tarnish, and that's the word I'm going for, tarnish the surface of it to look like Bornite, which changes the price a lot. So the inside, you'll notice, will just be kind of this silvery color, probably even like white sometimes, and that's because they treat the outside with a tarnish, treated to make it look like a rainbow. But the minute you start handling this mineral, it'll begin chipping away and it'll just be this sad, dull color. And it's really a shame because the minute you kind of touch it or knock it around, you just lose it. Another mineral to fake is turquoise. Turquoise in general is a very super popular fake, and it can be very, very difficult to tell a real piece of turquoise from a fake piece of turquoise. So it's better just to avoid it until you find a very trusted vendor and you can figure out how to spot the fakes well, because it's very super common and it's honestly hard to gauge who's telling the truth and who's not sometimes in the mineral hobby. Another really annoying fake is andorra crystals, which is just slag glass that was found at a factory, and suddenly there were claims of metaphysical properties and healing properties that are a complete lie. So they sell slag glass for hundreds of dollars, even though marbles are the exact same thing. When you see a vendor marketing metaphysical properties for a specific mineral, especially quartz, don't trust that vendor. A lot of the times it's just a marketing ploy to get you to buy really overpriced minerals that aren't really that valuable. You have to remember that quartz is the second most common mineral in the world, so there's no reason that a common piece of quartz, just clear quartz, should be that pricey. Just keep that in mind. But that in general, for now I guess, is all the information I can give you. I might make another video that's more in depth, but for now, that's everything. Thanks for watching.